This time from the International Racing League F1 2017 on the PS4 platform. This is the inaugural race of the season. It is season 5 for the IRL, and that is International Racing League, not to be confused with Indy Racing League from years ago, which of course Indy Racing League has now derived into the Verizon IndyCar series. Nonetheless, not to be confused with, it's round 1 here at Canada, and we are going to do a 12-minute qualifying session, and then it'll be off to the races. 14 drivers in total right now to start this inaugural race. You see a couple of guys heading out onto the track now. So some of you might be familiar with me. I do some commentating for the SRL League, that is the Sandro Racing League. So while there are many SRL leagues, there is only one Sandro Racing League. See a lot of the cars starting to head out onto the track now for their out laps. So we're going to see some familiar faces. It's going to be a lot of new drivers for me. Try to bear with me as I try to get up to speed with everybody's names. Again, I'm used to doing this for SRL, but we're going to see a couple of different guys. Ethan Croft, he's familiar with the SRL. Some of you may know Rob Sawyer. He also started SRL earlier this year. He's now switched over to the IRL. So we'll see a couple of guys out on their out laps. We'll take a look at Mr. Rob Sawyer, as he is going to start on his out lap. So we'll try and run down. Oh, we've got a caution in Sector 2 already. Looks like there's a car off. It looks like that was one of the McLarens already. Sawyer dives way off course there. So we'll try and give you a quick rundown here. Orange Warrior, that is one of the McLarens. That is, I believe, Shark Boxhorn is his name. He's from, well, he's not from around here. Plasterman. That should be Guy Hamilton in the factory Ferrari. His teammate is going to be Rob Sawyer, the Sawyer clan. Beastie Kids is in one of the Haas's. We've got a caution in Sector 2 and 3. Looks like somebody's slow. Beastie Kids is in one of the Haas's. That is going to be Louis Blackman. This is going to be Felix Neguar in the Sauber. He was very fast in the opening practice and exhibition race a couple weeks ago. Wasted Time. He is in one of the Force Indias. And that is Leland Supartini. I do remember that name very well because it sounds like a delicious drink. Ethan Croft, he drives the Scuderia Toro Rosso in the SRL, but here in the IRL, he is going to be in the McLaren Honda. Callum the Boss. He made it very clear that I could not pronounce his name correctly during the exhibition, and you see Stewart in the Force India sets the first fastest lap. That is Lewis Bish. And he sets the... Oh, and now Cameron Weston Edwards goes to the top of the charts with a 113 flat. Zexer, as I like to call him, in the Scuderia Toro Rosso. That is Sandro Sauerhog, I believe is how you pronounce his last name. We're going to go by Sandro for now. Brandon the Man Glover. He did the exhibition a few weeks ago in the other Sauber. Felix won the exhibition race. Brandon Glover spent most of the time chasing him down. He was very fast. He's in the Mercedes. And to round it out is going to be Dougal. And that, I believe, is Yoda Dangle. Something to that nature. I'll tell you here in a hot second here to verify that. Joshua Dangle. So we've got some guys setting some times now. Rob Sawyer goes to the top of the charts with a 112. Edwards running second now, 113 flat. So we take a look here at Dangles. He's on a fast lap. See what kind of time he could put up. And it looks like Edwards, Fish, and Supatertini are all in the pits. Sawyer just headed into the pits now. So both Force Indias are in the pits, reset their settings. Dougal comes out of the hairpin, see what kind of time he can put in. Get a caution in sector 3. See Brandon Glover right in front of him. Glover's got the DRS open, so he's on a hot lap. And there's the infamous Champions Wall. And Brandon Glover to the top of the charts, a 1:12.188. Half a second faster than Dougal, who puts up a great time at a 1:12.6. So Glover will finish that lap before Dougal, or Dangle, however you want to say it. But Sawyer had run a 1:12. Glover went 0.7 of a second faster, and Dangle went 0.2 of a second faster. There's some fast times. The top 4 separated by 0.7 of a second. Top 5 by 0.9 of a second. Continue to watch Dangle. He looks like he's on another flyer as he's out on the Ultra Softs. See if he dives into the pits. You see Felix, he's on an outlap. He's yet to set a time. Callum is still in the pits. He's yet to set a time as well. And Dangle is going to head into the pits along with Brandon Glover behind him. So it looks like the only car really out on track right now is Boxhorn, and he's going to head into the pits. So we'll take a look at Felix as he is on his outlap. He's yet to set a time. As I said a couple weeks ago, he had won the exhibition race in the first practice for this season. Him and Brandon Glover were both very fast in the Salvers. Big lockup heading into the hairpin, and good thing this wasn't a hot lap. Look at him power slide the car coming out of the corner. Down to the chicane around Champions Wall. See what kind of time he can put up. Across the line. Time hasn't come up yet. That was his out lap. This will be the flying lap. So Canada, one of the fastest tracks on the circuits for Formula One. Spend a little over 60% of the lap at full throttle around here. You're only on the brakes for... Oh, and he slaps the wall coming out of the hairpin, or chicane. Slight brush with the right rear as he heads down into the hairpin. Another big lockup on the Ultra Softs. Power slides it coming back out of the hairpin. You see the Ferrari there? Trying to put heat into the tires. He makes way. Down into the last chicane. Cuts it close to Champions Wall. And across the line, Felix goes a 1:12.05. Fastest time of the day. See Brandon Glover coming out of the pits. I'm sorry, that's not Brandon Glover. That's one of the Toro Rossos. So a really quick time there by Felix. Check on some of these other guys here. Rob Sawyer, I believe that was the Ferrari that was on the backstretch there on Felix's hot lap. So it looks like Sawyer's going to be on a hot lap now. He's out on the Ultra Softs. So the top 5 are separated by 0.8 of a second. They're all running in the 1:12 range. You've got Felix, Brandon Glover, Dangle, Rob Sawyer, Beastie Kids, and the Haas, that's Louis Blackman. See what kind of time Rob Sawyer can set. He was at the top of the charts earlier in this race. 2 minutes to play in this qualifying session. And he dives into the pits. Didn't like that lap. Felix is in the pits. Take a look here. Joshua Dangle, he should be on. Oh, and Rob Sawyer has... Looks like he's called it quits for the qualifying session. Caution in Sector 3. Pretty sure that's not related to Rob. So Dangle currently your third fastest car. So with Sawyer retired from the session, he could drop himself further back in the order. He's currently fourth, and there's a caution in Sector 1. Caution in Sector 2, that is Beastie Kids. We were just talking about him. Let's see what happened to him. And it looks like he is off. Possibly internet connection, possibly mechanical issue with the car. We'll jump back to Dangle here real quick, as he was on a hot lap. Got the slot open for the DRS to see what kind of time he can set. Crossed the line in the Toro also. And it does not look like he improved his time or position. Jimmy MC7. Not 100% sure who that is. That is one of the factory Renaults, though, and he comes up the third fastest time of the day. He comes through. Plasterman finally sets a time. He is... And look at this, Jimmy MC7 puts up the fastest time of the day, and that is your proverbial pole winner. There's still some cars out on track. Flying laps will count. I apologize, I don't know this gentleman's actual name. I will try and look into that during the quick break between qualifying and the race. Dangle going to give it one last effort here. And he does not improve his time. So an interesting qualifying session as Sawyer retired early. He was fourth when he retired. He has now been dropped to seventh with some of these other times that have been put up. So Jimmy MC7 is your pole winner. Felix with a close second place. So here is your starting order. Jimmy MC7, followed by Felix in the Sauber. Brandon the Man Glover, third in the Mercedes. Cameron Weston Edwards in the other factory Renault. Zexer, that is Sandre. He will be fifth. And it looks like we've got some cloud cover rolling in here at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. Weather usually is a factor here in Canada. As we wait for the cars to load up, there is a chance Jimmy MC7, that may be Jimmy McCardell. I will have to try and get confirmation on that. I'm not 100%. I do have that, but I have his username down as Jimmy Nook, so it's hard to say. So here we go. This should be the reconnaissance lap. And we will try and reset this field for you. So there's Jimmy MC7. I'm going to assume MC. So this is probably Jimmy McCardell is your pole winner. Felix in the factory Sauber starting second. Brandon Glover in the Mercedes third. Cameron Weston Edwards in the other factory Renault will be fourth. Sandre fifth. He's followed by Joshua Dangle sixth. Rob Sawyer, who left the qualifying session early, is seventh. Beastie Kids, Louis Blackman is going to be eighth. Stuart, that is Louis Bish. And we have Ethan Croft in the McLaren Honda. Wasted times, that is going to be Sue Pottertini in the Force India. Shark Boxhorn in the other McLaren Honda. Callum the Boss in the Williams. And then Guy Hamilton in the other Ferrari, going to be bringing up the rear of the field. So 14 cars starting today. And you see some varying tire strategies there. Again, there is some cloud cover. Rain could be moving into the area later in the race. We'll see if we get a changeover at all. So this is the first race, round one here at Canada Circuit Gilles Villeneuve for the IRL International Racing League. This is on F1 2017. This is for the PS4 platform we are currently watching. We are getting ready to go lights out. Field gets set. Lights go out. Time to run what you brung. Quick run down into the 1-2 complex. It usually gets a little hairy down here. See some of the Toro Rossos trying to dive to the outside. There's contact there in the back. As you take a look at McCardell, he starts to pull off. Looks like that's Cameron Weston Edwards. And Joshua Dangle made contact through 1-2 complex. Oh no! Edwards has to cut through the grass. That's going to cost him some time. Try to keep up with the action here. Looks like one of the other Renault there, Zexer. He looks like he's got a problem. And McCardell. That was McCardell that lost a lot of time. Uh-oh, we've got a caution in Sector 2. It looks like one of the Saubers in the back there had a problem. Oh, and it was one of the Haas's that had gone off. Louis Blackman. So a lot going on here on the opening lap. Ethan Croft dropping back in the field now. Oh, and it looks like we've got a caution there in Sector 3. That's one of the Force Indias. It looked like that was Callum the Boss trying to make a dive bomb move there through Champions Wall Complex. Took out one of the Force Indias. He's going to try and make his way around Boxhorn in the McLaren. So a lot of action here in the opening couple of laps. And it looks like whatever problem McCardell had, looks like he's regained some composure, and he's only 2/10 off of his teammate here. Cuts the corner big time there. I'm sure he'll get a warning for that. So he's working on the back of Edwards, his teammate. Oh, you can hear him try and put the power down. And a little bit of wheel spin coming out of that corner. Meanwhile, Felix, your leader in the Sauber, that's Felix Naguar, he has got a 6/10 of a second lead over Brandon Glover, and coincidentally, it was those two that finished 1-2 in the exhibition race. And you see Felix puts up the fastest lap so far at a 1:15. Glover half a second off of his pace. Looks like Ethan Croft has dived into the pits. We'll take a look real quick. Sure, he'll be putting 4 tires on, and they're also going to do a wing change, so he had some contact earlier in that lap. So he'll be on a different pit strategy as well. So we take a look back here at Brandon Glover. This is Glover trying to chase Neguar. And Glover probably still has the back of Neguar's car embedded into his brain from the exhibition race a couple weeks ago. Big lock up there by Neguar going into the corner. Glover can't close the gap though. We'll take a look back at Jimmy McCardell here. This is your closest battle on track this second. The 2 Renaults. That's Cameron Weston Edwards and Jimmy McCardell. McCardell started on the pole. You see Brandon Glover now puts up the fastest time. And you'll have to excuse me for just 1 second. I have to step away. All right, we're sticking with this 3-way battle here. So Edwards has now been gotten around Dangle. Oh my, McCardell almost lost the back end of the car coming out of the corner there. So Edwards sits in 3rd. He's got Joshua Dangle with him in 4th. He's splitting the Renaults as McCardell's in 5th. He was your pole sitter. Ran into a problem on the opening lap and fell back some spots. So you got a 3-way battle for the final spot on the podium. And starting to sneak into the picture is Rob Sawyer in the factory Scuderia Ferrari. Take a run down the long straight here into the final chicane. Ooh, a little bit of a curb hop there. Oh my. McCardell pushing that car hard, lost the back end a little bit again. See, Felix has now run the fastest lap at a 1:14.7. So Neguar and Brandon Glover are swapping blows for the fastest lap, but Neguar is still pulling out. He's just over a second faster than Glover at this point, so Glover's now out of DRS range. See, Blackwood has lost the position to Guy Hamilton, and McCardell brushes the wall with the right rear coming out of that complex. Lock up there by Dangle. This is your closest battle on track right this second. Is between Dangle and McCardell for the 4th spot. Cameron Weston Edwards got around Dangle, and he's started to pull away a little bit now. Dangle is just outside of DRS range for Edwards. And a big lockup heading into the hairpin here by McCardell. You see Rob Sawyer there, again, just sneaking into the picture a little bit. So McCardell's going to be in the DRS range, see if he can close that gap to Dangle just a little bit. Oh, he runs very wide up against the wall there. Almost brushed it again. You see one of the Toro Rossos in the back there almost do it as well. Looks like Louis Blackman has gotten back around Callum, the boss. Oh, and they touch. McCardell gives a little love tap there to Dangle. McCardell's got to be really disappointed with himself after setting such a fast lap in qualifying and then starting on pole. Oh, he's going to cut the corner there, and so does Rob Sawyer. I'm sure they're getting warnings for that. Big run down into the hairpin. Rotors are glowing. McCardell closed the gap now. He's got a good run coming out of the hairpin. He's going to be in DRS range. You can see Dangle take a more defensive line. He's going to try and make McCardell go the long way around on the outside. This is going to be tight, folks. Oh! And McCardell makes it stick. Power move on the outside through the chicane. And Dangle lost a lot of speed. Looks like he's going to give up another spot to Sawyer. as they head down into turn 1. There's a caution in Sector 3. Looks like that might be Guy Hamilton. Looks like he might have run into a problem. And, oh yeah, that's up against Champion's Wall. Broken left front suspension and everything. So we'll take a look back at Rob Sawyer here. Unfortunate ending for Guy Hamilton. Big lock up there. So Sawyer is going to try and close in on McCardell, and Dangle has fallen from 4th to 6th, and Edwards has pulled away from this battle. However, Dangle is starting to reel back in Sawyer. This is your closest battle on track right now. This is only a half-second split between these two. You see the cloud covering the background. Rain could be a factor. So we hop on board with Dangle here. And now both of these cars have actually... Oh, and Sawyer goes off into the grass. Dangle's going to get a good run coming out of the corner to make his way around him. So now Sawyer's going to get a little bit of a tow as they head down into this series of complex. If he can stick with him, he might be able to get a good run down to the hairpin. But Sawyer went through the grass, gave up that position. And now Dangle is going to try and catch back up to McCardell in the factory Renault. And as we talk about this, we see Sandro and the other Scuderia Toro Rosso, he's starting to reel in Rob Sawyer as well. So Sawyer cost himself a lot of time going off in that grass in the one corner. So Sandro is just a little over a second outside of DRS range from Rob Sawyer. Sawyer trying to catch Dangle and get his position back. And you see Sawyer there with a 3-second time penalty. And it looks like Lewis Bish just dived into the pits. Callum the Boss has lost a position to Boxhorn. We continue to watch this battle here for the 5th place position. Now if we go back a little bit further, we will see there's Callum as he cuts into the grass there. Jump on board real quick. That is Orange Warrior 03. That is Shark Box Horn. So they head down to this series of complex. So now this is currently your closest battle. Oh, Box Horn almost got rear-ended by Callum there. You see a couple of guys starting to head into the pits now. Working lap 10 of 35. Some of these Ultra Softs are going to be giving up. You see some of the other guys on the Super Softs. And Callum drops that left rear. Oh, big curb hop there through the Champions Wall complex. You know, Callum's got the DRS slot open as they run down into turn 1. Oh, and he dive bombs Boxhorn, and he takes the position. Nice pass. And you see one of the Ferraris, that's going to be Rob Sawyer coming back out onto the track from his tire changeover. So Sawyer pitted, he comes out 7th place. And Callum on worn tires. Looks like Sawyer is off to the races. Doesn't look like Callum's going to be able to reel him back in. But a great move by Callum to go around Boxhorn heading into turn 1. As he dive bombed him going in at the end of the front stretch. Now Boxhorn's trying to come back on Callum. Brandon Glover's now headed into the pits. That's going to put Jimmy McCardell into second. And you see Boxhorn's having a problem now. Went in a little too deep. Gave up a position to Beastie Kids in the Haas. That's Blackman. This is going to be tight going down in here. You got 4 cars trying to fit into one lane. Oh, and the Haas gets hit. Pushed outside a little bit. See, Edwards gets a 3-second penalty there. He's somewhere else on the track, but that's for corner cutting. Boxhorn down to the inside of Callum. He's trying to take the position back. Oh, they bang wheels a little bit. And here comes the Force India trying to work. It's a 3-way battle now. So they run 3 wide. And now Blackman gets a penalty for corner cutting. So Boxhorn out in front of this battle. This is for the 8th position, folks. Oh, and you see the Force India in the back go around Callum, and he takes the position from Callum. That's Lewis Bish now. He is going to start working on Boxhorn. And just a quick heads up at the front, Felix has dived into the pits for his tire change, and so is Jimmy McCardell. You see this 4-way battle for the 8th position. So Bish is all over the back of Boxhorn. Behind him, you've got Callum. And then in the Haas, oh, you got Louis Blackman. And now this 4-way battle is starting to turn into a 5-way as the other McLaren's starting to sneak into the picture. You see Bish now gets around Boxhorn. That's Ethan Croft that was starting to sneak into the picture there in the back. Looks like Bish is going to start to pull away. We'll take a look back at Boxhorn now as he's got Blackman all over the back of him. And Callum in the Williams now, he looks like he's under pressure from Ethan Croft. Oh, and Croft's going to dive bomb him on the inside. Oh, and they both push wide. Callum's still there, though. Sandro is your new leader through the series of pit stops. Brandon Glover just set the fastest lap of the Mercedes as we continue to watch this battle for 11th. And you can see up front there a little bit, you have Blackman trying to run around the outside of Boxhorn. Boxhorn goes in deep. They touch wheels. They bang over the curbs. Boxhorn's going to hang on to that position for now. There's a caution in Sector 2. Looks like that might have been one of the Toro Rossos. And now Blackman is trying to work his way around. Looks like he just picked up a position. He's now running 9th. He finally got around Boxhorn. And Boxhorn's got his teammate Ethan Croft all over the back of him. Brandon Glover looks like he's just gotten around Neguar. The battle for the lead here. There you see the Mercedes and the Sauber 1-2. There's a 5-second stop and go penalty for Sandro for speeding into the pit lane. He was running 4th at the time of that. That's going to hold him up. So we were watching the battle for 8th through 11th. We're now watching the battle for the lead. Neguar has led most of this race, but through the sequence of pit stops, Brandon Glover has worked his way up to the front and set the fastest lap. He's 0.7 of a second in front of Neguar at this point. And it looks like Ethan Croft has just picked up a time penalty for corner cutting, exceeding the track limits. Big lock up there by Neguar heading into the hairpin. So Glover now has managed to pull the gap out over Neguar by more than a second. So Neguar is out of DRS range. That is good news for Glover in the Mercedes. He drops the right side wheels into the grass there just a little bit. And the gap is growing up to 1.5 seconds. We'll take a look in the back here. This is a battle for 12th. And this is Callum all over Supartini in the Force India. Oh, and Callum's in the grass. Almost lost control of the car there. You see McCardell now picks up a 3-second time penalty as well. So Callum gets around Supartini. Not yet, he's still fighting for it, trying to put some heat back into those tires, it looks like. Take a look back up at Blackman, and he is in the Haas fighting with the other Force India. That's Lewis Bish. This is the battle for 8th. You see Blackman dives down to the inside. Oh, and they bang! Oh, they both... Oh, no, and there's a broken right rear suspension. Done for the day. Oh, and the Force India's off. Bold move, and it looks like he might have some issues with the car as well. Caution in Sector 3, Blackman done for the day. Pancaked the right rear against Champion's wall. So he made contact with Bish here. I'm sure that will probably be investigated after the race. Unfortunate turn of events for Blackman. Take a look back up front now. This is Brandon Glover, your leader in the Mercedes. Oh, and it looks like Bish is going to be out of the race as well. Possible suspension damage done to him. His car pulls off. So we started with 14 cars. 3 of them have dropped out. And it looks like Felix has just dived into the pit, so that's going to hand second place over to Cameron Weston Edwards. So this is Brandon Glover, your leader in the Mercedes. Cameron Weston Edwards is running second, 6.5 seconds behind the factory Renault. 7 seconds behind him is Jimmy McCardell, who was your pole sitter. Behind him is going to be Joshua Dangle, who's had a pretty eventful race, battling for positions all over the place today. He's running 4th, and he's 0.7 of a second behind McCardell. Currently, this is your closest battle on track, and we will stick with this for the next few laps to see if Dangle can possibly get that final spot on the podium. Big lockup. Smooth transition for Dangle going into the hairpin. Callum the Boss is in the pits. He is 11th. Currently end of the line. We started with 14 cars. 3 have dropped out. Callum's going to be the last car on track when he comes back out on the pits. So Dangle trying to put the heat on Jimmy McCardell. McCardell just picked up another 3-second time penalty. You see Dangle got very close to that wall complex coming out of the corner. Hop on board, see if he can close the gap to McCardell at all. looks like starting to sneak into the picture. That might have been Rob Sawyer back there. Uh-oh, we've got a caution in Sector 3. Looks like that would have been one of the Force Indias around. Somebody went off track there. Quick on-off. Head back to the battle for third here. Dangle starting to close in now on McCardell. You see Rob Sawyer is actually starting to sneak into the picture there in the back. You see in the background there, you see the cloud cover is still there. There's been no sign of rain so far, but the cloud cover is definitely there as we work lap 19 of 35. And this is your closest battle on track. Big lock up there by the Renault. That was McCardell going in the corner hot. Daniel's still trying to close in that gap, but he's lost a lot of time. He lost about half a second this lap alone. It was 0.7 of a second at the last sector. It's now 1.3 here in the third sector. So we'll reset your order here as we go back to the front with Brandon Glover. Looks like he's coming up on a lap car that could possibly be Callum in the Williams. Looks like that is one of the Force Indias. This is not a battle for position. Felix now sets the fastest lap of the Sauber. I'm assuming Felix ran into a problem earlier on. He was running second behind Glover there for a while. He had to pit. He now come out in 6th spot, but did just run the fastest lap. So Glover is the fastest, Glover is running first in Mercedes. Cameron Weston Edwards in the factory Renault. He is running a solid second place, 8.5 seconds behind Glover. You have McCardell. He is 5.5 seconds behind his teammate. And another big lockup. He's out on the softs. Dangle's behind him. Rob Sawyer running 5th. Here's Felix Naguar. Like I said, he had led the beginning portion of this race. Lost one position through a series of pit stops, was running second behind Glover, and then had a little bit of a mishap somewhere along the lines as she Dangle's now jumping into the pits. So Felix had a problem somewhere along the line and dropped back, but with a couple of cars now, and he just set the fastest lap again. You see Sawyer and Dangle have dived into the pit, so that's going to move Felix up to 4th. Here is Ethan Croft in the McLaren Honda running 8th. His teammate running 9th. This is Shark Box Horn as he dives into the pits. Here is the Force India of Supar Tini running 10th. And Callum the Balls, he's coming out of the pits now. He's bringing up the rear of the field. See Croft picks up another time penalty. And Glover is heading into the pits now. He is going to give up the lead to Cameron Weston Edwards. Let's see where Glover comes out in sequence to them. So it's going to be a Renault 1-2. Cameron Weston Edwards, followed by his teammate, Jimmy McCardell, who had started on pole. Brandon Glover just came out on a new set of Super Softs. Felix Naguar is 5 seconds behind this battle in 4th. Right now, your closest battle on track currently would be Sue Pottertini in the Force India trying to catch Shark Box Horn. This would be a battle for 9th. Working lap 22 of 35 on a very cloudy Circuit de Gilles Villeneuve in Canada today. The threat of rain has been lingering all race long, but it is yet to show its ugly face. But as they say, rain is the great equalizer. It'll be interesting to see in the next few laps if perhaps we get some rain, if there will be a changeover to intermediates or wets. This is all yet to be determined. You see Felix, that's another fastest lap with a 1:13.9. So Felix, who is running in the 4th position, is closing the gap to Brandon Glover. That is ultimately going to be your battle for the win, because Edwards and McCardell, I believe, still have to make another pit stop. I don't think their softs are going to last the rest of the race. McCardell is actually closing the gap now to his teammate. He's got that gap down to 1.8, and you see Glover there sneaking into the background. He's 1.3 behind McCardell. Big lockup going into the corner. So Glover is out on newer tires. He's out on the Super Softs. Or is that the Ultra Soft? That is the Super Soft. So Glover's out on the Super Softs. He's trying to close the gap down to McCardell, who is out on old worn soft tires. And the gap now, you see Glover just ran the fastest lap at a 1:13.979. So again, Glover and Neguar have been swapping blow for blow, lap after lap for fastest lap all day. So the gap now back to McCardell from Edwards, who's your leader, is 1.3, but Glover is about to be in DRS range at this current pace. Oh, and now McCardell's in DRS range of Edwards. So it looks like Edwards might have had a little bit of an on-off there. So the gap's closed down to him. McCardell's in DRS range of his teammate. And the gap is closing. So you've got a 1-2-3 battle here for the lead. That is Cameron Weston Edwards, followed by his teammate Jimmy McCardell, and then Brandon Glover in the factory Mercedes. The car up ahead is a lap car. You see Boxhorn picks up another 3-second time penalty. Here they go through the Champions Wall complex. Good run out of that complex for McCardell, and he's finally going to work his way back to the lead after starting on pole and falling back. But Edwards doesn't want to give up the position that easily. Pushes him way outside. Glover is going to go around the outside of turn 2 to try and get a run down into the next series of corners. And Glover is on the outside, makes it stick, and Brandon Glover is taking over the 2nd place position, and now he's going to be in hot pursuit of Cameron Weston Edwards. So Edwards managed to hold off the threat of his teammate, and unfortunately at the same time cost his teammate a position as Glover made the pass around the outside. Glover's within half a second. The run down into the hairpin. Glover very smooth on the brakes to that hairpin there. That's going to give him a good run out of this corner. He's going to be in DRS range. Edwards is going to take the more defensive line. He's going to make Glover work the long way around as they head into the Champions Wall complex here at the end of the straight. Haas, this is Beastie Kids. Beastie Kids. Louis Blackman. Rough end of the race for you. Series of events there at the Champions Wall complex. Tell us your side of the story. Oh, we've got a battle for the lead here as Glover and Edwards touch heading into the airpin. Edwards tries to push Glover out wide. Glover's going to have the better line heading into the complex at the end of the straight. And this is going to be very dangerous. You just heard from Blackman who... Oh, and they touch going into the corner, and Glover's into the wall. So we just heard from Blackman his series of what happened, and now Glover has experienced a very similar crash. So as we speak with Louis Blackman, what were the track conditions like out there? There's been a threat of rain all day, but it's yet to break. Well, that's Blackman's side of the story. I'm sure the wreck itself will be investigated after the race. I want to thank Blackman for sharing his side of the story as we get back to the action here. Glover, who was a part of that melee at the end of the straight, has gone and hit the wall a couple more times. His front wing is broke. He's got no downforce, and he has fallen back to the 5th place position. He's going to have to pit. And we'll take a reset here. Cameron Weston Edwards is your leader, and all over the back of him is Felix Naguar as they head down into turn 1. Naguar has now split the Renaults, as Jimmy McCardell is still running 3rd. But positions 1, 2, and 3 are only covered by 4/10 of a second. Oh, and Edwards cuts the grass, and he's going to get a 3-second time penalty. As we watch this 3-way battle, Felix has the lead for just a second, pushes Edwards wide, and now McCardell's taking over the 2nd place position almost. There's back and forth, blow for blow. You can't race like this for very long. It'll end in tragedy. Edwards off the course again. He gives the position up to Naguar and refuses to give the position up to his teammate McCardell. McCardell is on the softs, Edwards on the super softs. McCardell is going to be in DRS range heading down the backstretch to Champions Wall Complex. So now the battle for 1st has become a battle for 2nd. Brandon Glover has pitted and gotten back out on track. He is in 6th position. He is 13 seconds behind Rob Sawyer in 5th. So Felix is still under the threat of Cameron Weston Edwards. 6 laps to go in this inaugural round of the IRL season number 5, F1 2017 on the PS4 platform. You see the battle here. You can throw a blanket over the top 3 cars. We continue to watch Felix, your leader. Big lockup heading into that corner. And looks like we've got a caution in Sector 3. That's Ethan Croft. Oh, and he's crashed at the Wall of Champions as well. Right front is destroyed. So Ethan Croft in the McLaren is done for the day. You see his teammate there, Boxhorn, going by. We take a look back at the battle. They're going to drive right by this. And Croft is done for the day. So we started with 14. We've now got 4 cars out. Got a caution in Sector 1. Sandre is headed into the pits. Another big lockup there. Brandon the Man Glover back out on track with a new wing and a new set of tires, sets the fastest lap again. And we still see a caution in Sector 1. Not sure what that's about. So Felix Naguar in the Sauber has now started to pull away. He's 1.6 seconds ahead of Cameron Weston Edwards. So the battle for first looks like it has been relinquished to Felix Naguar. So the battle for second now is going to be between Jimmy McCardell and Cameron Weston Edwards. The two factory Renaults are going to battle it out. This is your closest battle on track, and I feel like McCardell's been chasing Edwards all day, and he just can't find a way around him. Circuit Gilles Villeneuve is not exactly the easiest track to pass on. You've pretty much got two passing zones here. 3 if you want to count the end of the straight to the Champions Wall. But really, your hairpin's your best shot, and the run down to turn 1. Other than that, you got to be real careful trying to hit the apex of these series of quick right lefts and left rights. So Rob Sawyer's just headed into the pits. He is dropping through the field. Naguar is starting to run away with the lead now. He is 2.3 seconds up over the battle for second as we continue to watch it. McCardell just can't seem to find a way around his teammate Cameron Weston Edwards. Big lock up into the hairpin, cuts it in tight, gets a little bit better run coming out. It looks like he's going to be in DRS range. Edwards is going to take the more defensive line. He's going to make McCardell go the long way around. He breaks out of the stream. Oh, good run. He gets a crossover move coming out of the Champions Wall complex. McCardell's going to take over the second place position. So the Renault swap places, and we'll see if McCardell now can try and make a run at Naguar in the closing laps of this race. So that'll reset the field for a hot second. And you see Sandro now, and the Scuderia Toro Rosso has now set the fastest lap. Felix Naguar is your leader. 3 seconds behind him is the battle for second. Jimmy McCardell and Cameron Weston Edwards as they run 2 and 3. Brandon Glover trying to make up for lost time after an unfortunate incident down on Champions Wall. He is running 4th, 19 seconds behind the battle for second. Sandro, who just set the fastest lap, he is right behind Brandon Glover. This is going to be the battle for 4th. You see there one of the lap cars pulls off to the side. Sandro on the Ultra Sauce, Glover on the Ultra Sauce. We know Glover's got pace, but does Sandro have anything for him? He's going to be in DRS range as they head down the backstretch. Glover does not take the defensive line. He sticks to the apex. And Felix just picked up a 3-second time penalty for corner cutting. Oh, and there he goes. Sandro tries to dive bomb on Glover. Doesn't work. He'll have to try and stick with him, maybe make a run at him down to the hairpin here in the next few corners. McCardell has managed to pick up a 3-second time penalty. See, he's gotten around his teammate, so now it's Jimmy McCardell running second, Cameron Weston Edwards in third, but that battle continues as the gap is only within 1/10 of a second. So we continue to watch Sandro trying to make a run at Brandon Glover. Down to the hairpin, Sandro picks up a couple car lengths on him, gets a good run out of the corner. DRS slot open. We'll see what kind of run he can make down through Champions Wall Complex and then down into turn 1. Glover does take a defensive line this time. Oh, pushes him a little wide. Oh, no, and oh! Sandro into the wall just a little bit. Not hard enough to break the suspension, but definitely cost him some time. So as the laps wind down, we'll take a look at your leader here. Felix Naguar in the Sauber. And he has got a 4-second lead over Jimmy McCardell in the factory Renault. Behind him is going to be his teammate, running third. It looks like Cameron Weston Edwards has lost a lot of time to his teammate. 14 seconds back from that is Brandon Glover in the Mercedes, and he's been able to pull away from Sandre in the Scuderia Toro Rosso, who is running 5th. His teammate, Joshua Dangle, is running 6th. Behind him is Rob Sawyer. Sawyer just clipped the wall coming out of the hairpin. He's about 7/10 of a second off of Dangle. We'll stick with this for a hot second as Felix has just picked up the white flag, so he's on his final lap around. Through the Champions Complex, Sawyer's got the slot open. He's going to make a run down into turn 1. Can he get around Dangle? Oh, they touch. Inside, outside. Sawyer puts the power down. Oh, it looks like there might have been a little bit of contact with the right rear tire to the left front part of the wing of Dangle's car. Sawyer's going to get the position. In the final lap here, Dangle's not done with him, though. Oh, they hit! They collide! They've both spun! Unbelievable! Sawyer backing it up, and there goes one of the Sahara Force Indias. Oh, and they're still banging wheels. Oh, no, and around goes... We take a look at Sawyer. Oh, my goodness, that is definitely going to be investigated at the end of this race. That is very aggressive driving. Dangle is off to the races. We are going to see, it looks like he's going to give the position back. So he's going to let Sawyer go through, try and save face for what happened, but I think Dangle knows that there was an issue there. So on the last lap, a lot of the other cars have finished now. You see the finishing order at the top left here. Felix Naguar has won the race, followed by Cameron Weston Edwards. He managed to take over second place. Brandon Glover managed to get third somewhere along this last lap. He was 14 seconds behind second place. Jimmy McCardell dropped to fourth. Sandre, fifth. And then you've got this battle here for sixth and seventh between Joshua Dangle and Rob Sawyer. Shark Boxhorn will be running 8th. Sue Pottertini is going to be bringing up 9th. Callum the Boss 10th. And as you see the bottom of the order, 11th through 14th. Oh, and you see another car off there. Not sure who that was. But 11th through 14th, we started with 14 cars. We are going to end with just 10. So a couple of incidences to be investigated after this inaugural race for the F1 2017 IRL season on the PS4 platform. We'll take a look at the finishing order here. And there you have it. That's an amazing run there at the end by Brandon Glover. I wish I would have caught how he got third place, but he was many seconds behind from just second to the last lap. So Felix Naguar wins the inaugural round here at Gilles Villeneuve in Canada. See Cameron Weston Edwards there, second spot on the podium. So there's your finishing order. And we will definitely have some conversation at the end of this race, I'm sure. Very exciting first round. Want to thank Beastie Kids. That's Louis Blackman. He joined me for his side of the story after his massive crash at the Champions Wall Complex. So tune in next week for round 2 of the IRL season. I want to thank everybody for watching. I'm KAMIKAZE-FOX. This has been IRL.